I want to share with you all after this morning's discussion vision of the school district. It's a vision that provides sufficient tax revenue to do technology, fix the schools, build new schools. It breaks the cycle. There's no new taxes. It's the most broad-based approach. It eliminates debt. It allows for enhancement through market forces. And taxpayers save money. Take a look at the spreadsheet that I've created. Above the blue line would be a scenario where not only your ballot initiative fails this year, but also in 2012. And as you can see, that's a tough number to work with. Below the blue line is a process where the property tax goes up to a top level of .76, but the district makes a commitment and fulfills to eliminate debt. Because in my mind, the debt is a phantom tax. I mean, I don't know what happens in 2012, but I'm sure I'll still be on the hook for my share of $475 million. So while taxpayers may be under the illusion that the tax rate is currently .38, it's significantly higher. And so here's a plan put before you that satisfies many of the needs that have been expressed in the SB154 Committee. And I would argue, although these numbers are just round numbers, I haven't put this through the administration to put real numbers in here, but I would argue this is not a tax increase, increases revenue substantially, and it's a great deal is done through stopping the payment of interest. There's a lot of interest in here. And those dollars never make it to the classroom. That goes to an investor like me who's making money on school board, on school taxes. And that doesn't make sense. So obviously this is just a taxpayer struggling in with a plan that doesn't have the benefit of administration to look at. I'm fully prepared to meet with anybody to talk about this. And I'm open to any kind of criticism or suggestion or anything else with regard to this plan. Today would be a good day to express that. Or if you feel more comfortable, feel free to send me an email anonymously. You all have my email address. And this is just really a rough idea, but I think this is an idea that's worth merit. So any comments or questions, I'd be willing to listen.
Jody?
I do have one question.
Sure.
Have you shared this with, like, the SB154?
No, ma'am. I don't think that's appropriate. It makes no sense to float a plan that doesn't have the support of the board or staff, in my mind. Excuse me?
They might.
They might, but I'm not here to undercut anyone. And by the way, I should also mention that I had to change the packaging on this. I didn't have authorization to use anybody's name last week when I talked about this. So I have it labeled the Blue Sky Funding Mechanism. But Mr. Dugan, you feel free to put your name on it, or any one of you board members who are running for office, feel free. It's not a question of authorship. It's a question of what's going to be best, as you all know, for the school districts. And I don't see how, if you get every 6 taxes that was on your mailer last year, that's not enough to do what you want. But this is. Now, granted, there's a lot of steps here. There's a lot of oversight, probably a little more complicated than you would like. But if all of these things happen, look at the support you have. Look at all the people that are involved in the decision-making process. And if you were to do this and win, doesn't that solve your problem? Not now, but in the future? We can always talk about the rate, but it's the borrowing that really holds you back. Because if we approve a bond measure, a big portion, that's not going to go to the classroom. It's going to go to the bondholder.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My comment would be, Superintendent Dugan, I would ask if you would share this with Marty Johnson and have him run the assumptions and the numbers and perhaps present, from his expertise, pros and cons. I know that the pay-as-you-go has some, advantages here and there. My concern would be about when you have spikes in need and how you phase that. Because if you have, there may not be enough in any one year to do what it is you need to do if you can't bond, which is part of the issue. Otherwise, I think it's, I appreciate the public bringing forth ideas, and I certainly don't see any downside with sharing any ideas with the SB154 committee if the rest of the board feels that's appropriate as a member of our public. But I would prefer to have it floated by Mr. Johnson.